There is a great deal of information which is now coming our way, and I should mention that a great deal of this has also been reported in the past, but there is a certain sanction now on the basis of the Italian court order. A lot of what was being reported earlier on, based on what was taking place in the Italian court, on investigations over here, on allegations over here, is now proving to be correct. Firstly, we have been able to get hold of this document, and let me just show it to you. This is a document from the Defense Ministry. It is a document which states that at some time during the evaluation of the AW101 helicopter, for the AW101 helicopter, which is the VVIP helicopter that the Indian Air Force and the Indian government selected, there was a process whereby AgustaWestland, the manufacturers of the helicopter, were able to actually fax technical documents, technical specifications of this helicopter and other parts of the technical aspects of this deal to their office. I'll read it. It says, in particular, one of the said documents, titled Revised Operational Requirements for VVIP Helicopter, has been transmitted by fax from a telephone number which belongs to AgustaWestland. It may also be mentioned here that AgustaWestland has not denied either the existence or knowledge of these documents. That raises a very important question. Why were faxes apparently from the Defense Ministry going out to a manufacturer of helicopters? However, it needs to be said, we do not know how classified these documents were. There are different grades of classified documents. Was this top secret? However, it did go across apparently from the Defense Ministry. NDTV has also now been able to access some information that, contrary to what has been reported earlier on, not all of the money which was sent across that India had spent on these helicopters, close to 3,700 crore rupees, actually came back to India. A lot of the money did come back to India. Why? Because the last government said that illegality had been committed, the role of middleman existed over there, and therefore on the basis of several clauses, integrity clauses in the document, India was able to get money back. But India did not get the entire amount of money back. We have learned, according to our sources, that money for 3 helicopters which were already delivered in India, in fact they're sitting in India now, they're mothballed, nobody knows what to do with them. These AW101 helicopters, more than approximately 106 million euros worth of money for these 3 choppers was never returned from AgustaWestland. Also, Agusta has apparently not returned certain monies linked to performance guarantees and security bonds. We will try and get more details of this later on. Another important point. Now, this is what sources in the BJP are telling us, who are observing this deal very, very closely. They are saying that the government actually accepted 3 helicopters, these 3 helicopters I'm talking about, coming into India, despite the fact that in February 2012, arrests had already begun in Italy in this deal. When did the choppers come in? The choppers came into India in November 2012, several months after these arrests took place. So if the last government was so committed towards fighting corruption, why did they not stop delivery of these helicopters? In fact, after the helicopters came into India, they have flown for 556 hours by the Indian Air Force, which was in the process of learning, in a sense, all the specifications of the helicopter, getting used to the helicopter, flying it on practice sorties ahead of its operational deployment. So again, the question the BJP is asking, if the UPA wanted to return the Agusta choppers, why did it fly them to such an extent? Also, it needs to be mentioned over here that perhaps the most damaging report on the AgustaWestland deal is not a new report at all. It's a report which has been there for several years. It is this report, the reporter of the Comptroller and Auditor General of India on the acquisition of helicopters for VVIPs, tabled in Parliament on 13/8/2013. But like so many documents which are published by the Comptroller and Auditor General, not every aspect is looked at. So why are we bringing to you this old document, which is in fact a public document? I will tell you why. Because now, at a stage when an Italian court has said that there was a money trail, millions of euros worth of bribes did come to India. Some of it allegedly went possibly to the former air chief, certainly to members of his family. Did it go through to political links or not? We do not know. It is in the context of this judgment in the Italian court that we can bring you a key part of what the Comptroller General had said in 2013. What did they say? Let me actually read out a quote and then explain it. The benchmarked cost as worked out by the Contract Negotiating Committee was 4,877.5 crores as against the estimated total project cost of 793 crores which was approved. This was more than 6 times the estimated cost for this project. Further, the offered cost of the vendor was 3966 crores. So the vendor, AgustaWestland, said give us 3966 crores for these helicopters, and the benchmark cost which the government of the time had actually come up with was 4877 crores. The CAG report says this was much below the benchmarked cost of 4877.5 crores. In other words, what AgustaWestland had offered was much lower than the benchmark cost of 4877.5 crores, which had been benchmarked by the government. Thus, the benchmarked cost by the government was 22.8% higher than what AgustaWestland had wanted. However, it should be mentioned that this cost was negotiated down and the ultimate value of the deal did go down to 3,726 crore rupees. So a couple of very important points over there. Also, 4 additional helicopters were procured. The initial plan was to acquire 8 helicopters. 4 additional helicopters were acquired, and therefore the CAG said that the cost of 1240 extra crore rupees was avoidable because the existing VVIP helicopters were not flying to the extent that warranted the acquisition of 12 as opposed to 8 helicopters which the Air Force was making do with.